where we're going to add alum. Alum is aluminum sulfate. I think we previewed this on July 3rd. What it basically does is there's a chemical reaction between the aluminum sulfate and the phosphorus in the water, that it binds that phosphorus up, sinks, and it makes it unavailable to algae. It takes it out of that cycle. Now, when you do this, and this has been done in other lakes across the world, but let me emphasize, never on a lake of this size. So that's one, I think, interesting issue we have to be aware of. And number two, we're the EPA, Sean's with the DNR. We are generally not in favor of adding chemicals to lakes. I think everybody here knows that. But at this point, we have such degradation in the lake, our view is we have to try something. But when you add alum, you have to monitor it very carefully, because if you don't properly monitor it and add it, you can end up screwing up the pH in the lake, which can have an overall negative effect. So you have to be very careful about how you do this, which is why what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 pilot projects. We're already trying to get them under contract now. We're going to do them in the month of September. In the month of September, we hope to have these projects done on the lake where we can actually apply the alum. And I can tell you, I have actually seen films where when you apply this chemical reaction is so quick that you can actually see the water clear before your eyes as the phosphorus binds and begins to sink. The question is, will it work? We don't know. That's what the pilot project is. Roughly 20 to 40 acres in size. We don't have the areas picked out yet where we're going to try it, but we're going to scope it out in August and again try to get it on the lake in September. Let's assume it works, which we certainly all hope it does. I think the big question is, well, again, Director Kraleski, thanks for this 20, 40 acre pilot project. What's that going to do for the lake? Not much. So the question is, what do you do next if it does work? If it works, here's what we're going to have to do. If after running these 2 pilot projects, we're convinced that this is the way to go and that we should try a whole lake application, meaning all 13,000 acres, the next step, frankly, is to work like dogs to find the $5 to $10 million it will take to do a whole lake application. Because that's where we would want to go. And I think it's safe to say from our standpoint, we will try to leave no stone unturned. We will go everywhere we can to try to find the money to do this. And certainly we will be encouraging everyone we can think of to help us in that search. But let me emphasize again, what we're going to do in September is a pilot project. So, that's the alum treatment. We're going to try another pilot project on the lake. I'm going to describe this as algae flipping. All right, what in the world is that? We've talked about the problem in the lake is that we have so much cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria, it's not really an algae, it's a bacteria. We call it a blue-green algae. But again, we're having these blooms. It is not something we want to see a lot of in the lake. It's been around for gazillions of years. It's always been in the lake. The problem is trying to deal with these blooms. That's the issue. The concept of algae flipping, which frankly has not been tested very much, I don't think it's been tested in the United States, is that we would, as a pilot project, add something called, well, we would add a silica-based material to the water in the hope of encouraging something called diatoms to grow. What is a diatom? A diatom is a normal, healthy algae that doesn't damage the lake, and the hope is that but it requires silica to grow. If you look at a picture of a diatom under a microscope, you may have seen them, they look like various geometric shapes. And what they do is they need that silica to build their cell walls and to form up. And the idea is, if we can encourage them to grow, and they begin using the nutrients, if we're creating an environment that's very conducive for the diatoms, then they will outcompete the cyanobacteria.
So we are absolutely committed to restoring this lake and making sure that this is a great economic engine that it can be. And at the same time, through the Division of Stormwater Resources, and primarily in conjunction with local elected Board of Supervisors who then hire Soil and Water District staff and funded through county commissioners. We appreciate the county commissioners that are present here today. It is a great partnership that both the state Division of Soil and Water and the local districts help administer federal money in the USDA, NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service, have been great partners, as Governor Strickland mentioned, in his advocacy at the federal level to help draw attention to this effort. Through that effort, there has been $2.5 million extra money to this watershed. There's now another $1 million coming due to Governor Strickland's advocacy to the USDA. We will continue to seek additional funding for such things as installation of filter strips, cover crops, as well as seek flexibility within EQIP money that flows through NRCS to allow storage, manure storage to occur outside of the watershed by not just other livestock producers. It's a rather unique thing that we're asking federal flexibility for, but it's one of those areas that we can add additional storage capacity. I think that if you ask any board of supervisor, Bob Lace in Mercer County, or an active landowner that is in ag production, do you need more storage capacity? And the answer would probably be yes. And the state and the local, using federal money, can help with that effort. In addition to that, USDA, under Secretary Vilsack, is talking about soil and water assessment tool teams, SWAT teams, that is federal employees on loan to local areas. We're going to be focusing on an effort to encourage USDA to assign a SWAT team to this watershed to help with the manure nutrient management plans, which is one of the items that we will be requiring, that all ag production have a manure or comprehensive nutrient management plan. That is something new, and it will be required.
To use the lake now would be, we believe, exceedingly dangerous to human health, and as has been said, to the health of your pets.
What's happening at this lake. You don't care about us. You're not even throwing us a bone. And on the way to here, you're hurrying to get us out of here so you can go send somebody with the war because it's election time.
Like 400 dogs. You just took $120,000 a year away from me, and probably 500 campers will leave. I'll lose over $1.5 million. What she just said here today. We don't want a Band-Aid. This pet patient needs surgery, or we'll be dead in another year. And the president need to put rocks around the wall and start doing something.
You can go look for a train, but you can't fix this. $100 million football stadium they raised in Cincinnati for the Bengals, but you guys can't find any money to fix a health issue? We got a man sitting here in the audience who was on the news last night. And you're going to do a long-term fix. Walt Disney built Disneyland. It didn't take 100 years, Sean Logan. This lake can be ready in 18 months. We have equipment in the Army Corps of Engineers. We have the Department of Transportation that owns hundreds of vehicles. Those are our equipment, us as taxpayers. Get them here and fix this lake.
What we know is that the liver toxins and the neurotoxins are some of the most potent toxins known, and there are currently no antidotes. And we're seeing this as a worldwide phenomenon. There are many other countries now that are reporting problems. Right now, what we do know is that there is no vapor associated with this toxin. However, it is associated with an aerosol, so that if you disturb the water, the the toxin can be in droplets of the water. Consequently, you can then inhale those droplets, or you can take them in through the mouth. And if the dose or the inoculum is large enough, it can clearly cause some problems. And this is why we are strongly emphasizing no contact with the water, because of those health risks and no known antitoxins and some of the most potent toxins known.
And Dr. Jackson and I and others will work with you to find whatever medical expertise you may need to make whatever decisions need to be made about the treatment. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Jenkins, for being here.